Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about jellyfish, or I guess more accurately, sea jellies, because they're not actually fish. True fish are vertebrates, meaning they have a backbone and a skeletal system, and they use gills to extract oxygen from the water. Sea jellies, on the other hand, are completely boneless invertebrates that absorb oxygen directly through their incredibly thin gelatinous tissue. Since they belong to a completely different family tree than fish, marine biologists prefer calling them sea jellies, and I'll try to do the same today. Now, as always, before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. We all know that different sea creatures can wash up on the beach from time to time, and they often look different on land than they did when they were swimming around in the water. But rumor has it, if a jelly washes up on the beach, it can literally vanish without a trace if it's left in the heat. What do you think? Could a beached jelly really be a teeny Houdini disappearing without a trace? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is Cnidarian. That's Cnidarian. Cnidarian is a term used in biology to classify a specific group of aquatic animals that includes sea jellies, coral, and sea anemones. These incredible creatures are known for their radial symmetry, meaning their bodies are shaped somewhat like a circle or a wheel, and they all possess specialized stinging cells. The phylum Cnidarium is incredibly vast, encompassing over 11,000 different species that mostly live in the ocean. The term Cnidarian comes from the Greek word cnidi, which literally translates to nettle, a type of stinging plant. Which makes sense because the defining feature of these animals is their unique ability to sting. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about sea jellies. Number 1, sea jellies don't have a brain, a heart, or any bones. It's hard to imagine a creature living without a heart or a brain, but jellies manage to survive and thrive without the organs we consider essential for life. Instead of a centralized brain, these creatures possess a fascinating nerve net spread throughout their entire body. It's a delicate web of nerves allowing them to detect changes in their environment, such as temperature, light, and water salinity. It acts as a rudimentary sensory system that triggers automatic survival responses to stimuli around them. Without a heart to pump blood or bones to support their structure, they rely entirely on the ocean currents to do the heavy lifting. Their gelatinous structure, known as mesoglea, provides all the support they need to float gracefully through the sea. And while some might see the lack of bones or what we consider vital organs as a huge detriment, you might say the simplicity is exactly what has allowed them to survive across the globe for millions of years. They don't need complex internal systems to hunt or hide, as their trailing tentacles automatically capture microscopic prey. It's a brilliant evolutionary design that proves sometimes less really is more in the animal kingdom. Number 2, sea jellies are older than dinosaurs. Long before the T-Rex roamed the earth, jellies were already drifting through the world's ancient oceans. Fossil records indicate that these gelatinous creatures have been swimming our seas for at least 500 million years, making them some of the oldest multi-organ animals on the planet. Discovering jelly fossils is incredibly rare because they lack bones or hard shells that typically leave easy imprints in rock. But paleontologists have uncovered some exceptionally preserved soft tissue impressions in ancient stone formations, proving this long lineage. These rare finds give us a literal sort of snapshot of the beautiful marine life of the Cambrian period. Surviving for 500 million years means that jellies have outlived incredibly massive extinction events that wiped out millions of other species. They've successfully adapted to dramatically changing ocean temperatures, shifting continents, and varying levels of atmospheric oxygen. Their resilience is largely due to their simple biological makeup and their amazing ability to reproduce rapidly in changing conditions. So, while they look like delicate little umbrellas floating in the sea, they're actually among the most rugged survivors on the planet. Number 3. The lion's mane jelly can actually stretch out longer than a blue whale. While blue whales are famously known as the largest animals on Earth, there's one type of sea jelly that can actually beat them, at least in terms of sheer length. The lion's mane jelly, appropriately named for its massive cluster of hair-like tentacles, is the longest known species of jelly in the world. The largest recorded specimen was found washed up on the shores of Massachusetts in 1870. Its bell measured over 7 feet across, and its incredibly long tentacles stretched out 120 feet. That's significantly longer than the adult blue whale, which usually maxes out around 100 feet. These massive jellies prefer the cold, frigid waters of the Arctic, the northern Atlantic, and the northern Pacific Oceans. The colder the water, the larger these specific jellies tend to grow. Despite the massive size, though, they're incredibly slow swimmers, relying heavily on the ocean currents to carry them safely to their next meal. And they stretch out their hundreds of long, sticky tentacles to act like a giant net capturing small fish, microscopic plankton, and even other small jellies. Number 4. The Turritopsis dohrnii is known as the immortal jelly because it can age backwards. It seems like something out of a comic book or some other science fiction, but this tiny jelly has naturally discovered the secret of eternal youth. When the immortal jelly experiences physical stress, sickness, or simply old age, it doesn't die like other animals. Instead, it reverts its entire body back to its earliest developmental stage, known as a polyp. It does this through a rare cellular process called transdifferentiation, where its adult cells transform entirely into different types of young cells. This process effectively resets its biological clock, allowing it to begin its life cycle all over again. With this remarkable cycle of aging and reversing, it can theoretically continue forever, making this species biologically immortal. Despite that seemingly infinite lifespan, they're actually quite tiny, just about the size of your pinky nail. They were discovered in the Mediterranean Sea, and scientists around the world are currently studying the immortal jelly to better understand cellular regeneration and the natural aging process. They hope that unlocking its genetic secrets might eventually lead to miraculous medical breakthroughs for humans. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: over 2,000 sea jellies were once sent into outer space. In the early 1990s, NASA decided to conduct a highly unusual experiment by sending thousands of tiny jelly polyps into orbit aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia. The goal of the mission was to study how microgravity affects the development of the jelly's internal balance organs. Since jellies rely on gravity-sensitive calcium crystals to orient themselves in the water, scientists wanted to see if they could happily adapt to weightlessness. The experiment was a huge success, and the jellies quickly reproduced, creating an estimated 60,000 baby space jellies. These new jellies grew up completely accustomed to floating freely without the pull of Earth's gravity. But the real surprise came when these spaceborne jellies were brought back down to Earth. Having developed entirely in microgravity, they lacked the necessary sensory development to understand which way was up or down in a normal gravitational field. When placed in standard water tanks, the returning jellies exhibited severe vertigo and struggled to swim in a straight line. And this actually provided NASA with vital, life-saving information about how human astronauts might be affected by long-term space travel. Now for some news you can use. If you're planning a trip to the beach, it's a good idea to stock your beach bag with the standards like sun protection, but also you might want to consider a spray bottle filled with ordinary vinegar for jelly protection. If you or your friend happen to get a minor sting from a common sea jelly, your first instinct might be to rinse it off with a fresh bottle of water, but that's actually one of the worst things you can do. Rinsing a sting with fresh water can cause the microscopic stinging cells left in the skin to burst and release even more venom. Instead, douse the affected area with your bottle of white vinegar for about 30 seconds. The natural acid in the vinegar works to quickly neutralize and deactivate the stinging cells, stopping the pain from getting worse and bringing some immediate relief. After the vinegar soak, you can safely pluck away any remaining tentacles using a pair of tweezers. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, could it possibly be true that a stranded sea jelly could just completely evaporate into thin air if left on a hot, sunny beach? Well, turns out that's a fact. A sea jelly's body is made up of about 95% water. It lacks the solid, dense structure that you would find on other land and sea animals. When a sea jelly washes up on the shore and it's exposed to the warmth of the sun, the vast majority of its body literally evaporates into the atmosphere. After just a few hours, almost all that's left behind is a tiny, practically invisible film of dried organic matter on the sand. So, yeah, that stranded jelly might just vanish right before your eyes. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about sea jellies with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.